While everybody's talking about glutes, I'm just sitting over here and going, well, do you have the core stabilization to fire the glutes? Or I can't remember who said it, but maybe Vern Gambetta said it or somebody before him, I'm not sure. You don't want to fire a canoe or a cannon from a canoe. That's it. You don't want to fire a cannon from a canoe. We're going to look at making that connection between your core set, your natural core set of your midsection, and your glute med min complex to allow you to be able to produce power down to the road or down to the pedals. Well, we're talking about canoes and cannons and all this stuff. One of the most important things as an endurance athlete that we can do is connect your ribcage, pelvis down together so that you're able to produce power down to the ground or to the pedals. However, for most of us, the glutes are not firing well. Now, there's three major muscles of the glutes. You have the glute max, which is the big one in the back. Then on the side, you have the glute medius, and then underneath that, glute minimus. This next exercise, we're going to target the obliques, the quadratus lumborum, which is a muscle on the outside of the spine, and the glute med min complex, helping them learn how to fire together. Now, this exercise is called the Prone Hip Abduction. Abduction just means taking away from midline. So you'll see Jordana set up on the floor here. She's got nice relaxed shoulders, and while I've been talking, she's actually been practicing the crocodile breathing, relaxing all of the muscles in through here, getting full expansion down through the bottom of her stomach and in through the mid-back. You'll notice one hand is out to the side. We're going to move this down just a little bit, and her head is straight. We don't want to have her cranked up. Now from here, whichever hand is out, what Jordana's going to do is take the opposite toes and point them straight ahead into the floor. So she's going to take the ankle to 90 degrees, and from here, she's going to use the prone glute activation drill that we used before to fire only her glute. Now, if you want to see how to do that, make sure you click up on the link above. Now, from here, what Jordana needs to do, she's going to press in through the fingertips and create an arch on the bottom of her foot, our hand rather. So she's pushing into the fingertips and allowing the mid-back to work, not the chest. And she's going to brace her midsection, locking the rib cage and pelvis together. And she's going to use the glute med min complex to slide her toes out away from the midline of her body without losing the connection of her rib cage and pelvis. She's going to go as far as she can, and then she's going to come back. So what she did there is actually use a muscle on the front of the hip called the tensor fascial latae, or as some of the athletes like to call it, the coffee muscle. That muscle is here. So what we want to try and do is cue her to keep her toes straight ahead. Don't turn them out, and only go as far as you can. There you go, that's much better. And then back in. So she has to work really hard with the internal, external obliques here. She should be feeling it right in through here, is that right? Okay, anything up and through the obliques? Excellent. Now, once you get this movement pattern down, she can actually go at a nice clip. She can go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, back Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and keeping the toes off the ground. And what this does is allow her to fire the glute max as a supporting muscle or a stabilizer while her adductors are working and her adductors are lengthening. Now let's take a look at what the other side is going to look like. As you go through this, what's really important is don't rush. We want to make sure that this hip, or shoulder rather, is nice and relaxed, and the opposite hip is relaxed as well. So we're getting all the work done at the one hip. So she's going to do one crocodile breath here, finding the position where her shoulder can relax. Good, so she's breathing all in through the midsection. Excellent. You notice, again, she's going into counter nutation, so the pelvis is kind of rotating back a little bit. This plays an important role in the lengthening of the deep hip rotator muscles and helping her do better. Now, once she's done 1 or 2 breaths there, she's going to point the toes 90 degrees, do the prone glute activation. So no hamstring. Nope, that was too much hamstring. Try again. Glute, glute, glute. There you go. And now she's going to slide her leg out towards me. Now, Jordana's been playing a little bit of baseball the last couple of weeks. So this is, I believe, your push-off hip. Is that right when you throw? So we're going to see now, yep, so this hip is dropping down just a little bit as she's going through that. So what she needs to do is she's going to come back to the starting point. You see her glute max is really active, but her oblique. So here she needs to do a shielded breath, brace, and then go. So what we're doing is teaching her to fire 360 degrees. You're going to notice her range of motion, there you go, is just a tiny bit less. And she's an athlete, so she's able to make that correction. There you go, do it again. So each repetition, she's going to have to fire and do that shielded breath again in order to get the stability. But notice each round, she's getting a little bit more range of motion. And go ahead and rest. So now she's starting to get a little bit of hamstring activation there. You can see at the end, that's something that we want to be very mindful of. So these exercises that we're talking about, the prone glute activation as well as the prone hip abduction, we want to make sure we're doing them for quality, not for quantity. So once you feel that hamstring fire, you start to lose the connection of the rib cage and pelvis. You're done for that set. Get up and do something else, and then come back for the next one. Now, if you found today's video to be useful in helping you understand how to lock together your rib cage and pelvis and why it's important and how it's important to fire your glute med min complex to get abduction away from the midline, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button down below and giving us a like and a comment. Were you feeling any cramps? Were you able to separate your rib cage and pelvis, or were you feeling the separation of your rib cage and pelvis, or could you keep them together? Let me know down below and I'll be sure to follow up with you. Until next time, remember, train smarter, not harder, because it is all about you.